Vishwesh in the house. Thank you so much for coming. I have been told by some of your colleagues that you're that one super chilled out, insanely humorous guy to talk to.
Too
And you
much
would also,
pressure.
huh?
Too much pressure, Chander. You're
And then I spoke to you on the phone. Was it last week? I can't remember, but yeah, you didn't seem like I was talking to you for the first time. You made me so comfortable, and then even now, it just feels the vibe that I get is like I know this guy. He's the guy next door, and now I can actually relate to why the fact that Sir has got you to work with him on 99,
oh,
and
that's really kind, man.
so thank you so much, Vishwesh. And
It's a
yeah,
pleasure. It's
so
a pleasure.
as I said, this podcast journey has been more like I've been on the path to do something as a little tribute to Sir, and he's very much aware and appreciative of this journey. And yeah, I've been extremely, I should say, blessed to have almost everyone who has worked with him in some shape or form to come on the podcast and support this journey. And it's done purely just out of love and respect for Sir. And then thanks to you as well, pulling out time from your very busy schedule, I know, and then coming on this.
Man, no, man. I come on this call and then you shower me with compliments. I think we're all good, man.
So thanks once again. So look, and before we jump deep dive into a number of things, I know I'm as curious as a little child, wanting to know absolutely everything that you know about Sir and the journey that you have been with him on making 99 and things like that. But before I do that, I know we are all living in interesting times right now. The whole world is. How are you keeping yourself positive?
Oh, actually, in many ways, I think that people who are working and are at the thick of what they do tend to get. I mean, I'll just speak for myself, and I'm sure that I'm sure that there are many that also have the same feelings.
Mm,
Uh, there was for many years, I think since I turned in my early 20s, I have no idea what day of the week is. Any given day is. I don't know what it is. I have, ever since I got into filmmaking professionally, Sundays are when you can film in offices and schools. So Sunday has always been a working day.
mm,
And, if you're filming on a Sunday, then Saturday would be the day that you do your technicals
mm,
on set.
mm.
And so usually so the weekend was never existed as a thing. Um, and I am so defined by what I do that I really don't know what else to do. And when I say what I do, there's a number of things that I do. Only few of them are actually in the public domain.
Mm.
I, I identify with myself as a very committed, distracted person, and uh, and I am distracted by everything that I have eventually started or ended up doing professionally. So I was into music in a major way when I was in my teens. I got into theater, I got into voice acting, and all of which I eventually started doing professionally. And then somewhere filmmaking converged into something that needed all of those skills.
Yeah.
And ever since that, I have never sat down.
Wow.
I am constantly,
Always curious.
expected to be somewhere.
Right.
I'm, even when I wake up in the morning, it's always like I should have woken up 30 minutes ago,
Wow.
or I'm supposed to have been already done. So this life had kind of just swept me away,
Okay.
and I think the dreadful part is that it took an infectious global pandemic to eventually have me sitting down and saying, okay, what do we do today now? You know, so and
So you're
so
embracing.
at first it was excruciating. It was intolerable,
Okay.
and after that, it has been low-key therapy for me. It's been Vipassana. It's kind of shown me what a fool I was. I wasn't paying attention to things. I started practicing guitar like I did when I was a teenager again. The joy of really, building a relationship with a song that you love is learning how to play it, and then you know it more intimately then. And I think I hadn't spent that time. And I started doing that with a few songs. It started with a few songs, then I started composing again. And so in many ways, this would have never happened if it weren't for, as you very gracefully put it, strange times. And I feel less of a stranger now.
Right. So it's probably given you the space to rediscover yourself, some of the things that you have always been wanting to do and never found time, sort of.
I think it's like a defragmentation of your hard drive. It's
Yeah.
a database rebuild. It's deleting cache. It's all of that gunk, because it's like there's so much residual stuff in your head that I got to be doing this and I got to be doing that. And like I've been a part of the independent music scene in India since I was 14 years old. And I took a break from that to do 99 songs. And then when I came back, it was an unrecognizable scene that I came to. Like, it was because, I mean, bands are virtually non-existent. There are no bands. Everyone's just, it's either a DJ or a rapper. And it's sort of, it took the group of guitars and a drummer, or, that thing feels like it is literally like, I can't think of any. The only that are there are mainstream or like nearing mainstream. I consider YouTube mainstream now, but I would have said that there are some popular YouTube bands, but like they're all part of the mainstream now. They're all part of one big conversation. And I came from the subculture stream. I always believe that, and this is as always as a kid, I felt like whatever's on the window, like when in a window display, is what they want you to buy.
True.
Right. So the mainstream was always something that they are really shoving into your face. It's the stuff for tourists. Like, if I always maintain this, like, if you wanted the best idli sambar in Kodambakam, it will not be the most popular spot. It will be the spot that few people know about.
True.
Someone will say, there is this one in that little lane on the side. If you go there, man, that is the best stuff ever. So I always believe that even in art, that so that is why for me, even if you take AR's music, for instance, right? My favorite pieces from his music are not the ones that are most popular. Like, I think that mine's actually Kerakachi Maile, which is his finest album, actually. I think he brought Gramam storytelling and audiography that it had never, no one had given those kind of brushstrokes to a story that was based in a village. And the second one was, the second in list of many is Earth, 1947.
1947 Earth. Oh, that's a mind-blowing album.
Yeah, but then not many people speak about it. Everyone will speak about Roja, and not to say that those are not the the sort of prime pieces, but I always felt like, man, imagine if this is the one that sold. Like, imagine the stuff he really wanted to make. What would that be? The stuff that So I always believe this in a major way. So when I was playing in a band as well, I did not want to play in a realm where I wanted to, like, it's like, how should I put this? Most of the people that used to listen to the band that I played in were musicians themselves. So it was like music for musicians. It was like, and so you never met anyone that was just there because it's cool. You met people that were genuinely into it, and so I kind of missed that a lot. And so I've been spending some time trying to write some new material, and maybe, just for me, it's more important to write the material than to even put it out. It's the fact that I sat down to write it,
Yeah.
that makes it uh, has its desired effect on me. It changes me.
Yeah. Understand. Amazing. Great. Well, I mean, I know you've worked on a very prestigious project with Sir, but before we jump onto that, um, do you have any memories of meeting Sir for the first time? How did he discover you?
Oh man,
Is
it's a
that
very popular it's a popular anecdote when it concerns this film because he called me up out of the blue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have the audacity to say that that I would imagine someone of his repute would have any idea of my existence.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll tell you another thing, man. Like when I was a kid, right? Not a kid, but when I first started working, I one of the things I was known for is prank calls. There's one even on the first album with my band. There is a song. I mean, it looks like it's a song. It's titled "Dr. Salafia and the Tea Parody," and it was actually me taking the piss out of a friend of mine who's a drummer. And I changed my voice and I spoke to him and I told him I need some beats, man. And and that that clip got really popular. It was the most popular uh, song on that album. No, people weren't interested in the songs; they were interested in the prank call a lot more. Like whenever we would tour, some random kid from a car would just like stick his head out and said, "Can you give me beats?" So I was known for prank calls, okay, and I have done that a lot. Like I have really terrorized people with prank calls. So when I get a call where someone says this is AR Rahman, I'm like, oh, is that so? And I was so rude on that call actually because I didn't even believe for 1 second that it was him. I was like, someone's trying to get back at me from all my years of this wreckage that I have I have been responsible for. That I didn't believe for one moment that it was actually him. So
Yeah.
and the thing is, like, even he is kind of like he just calls up and says, "Hi, this is AR," and you're like, "AR who?" And he says AR Rahman. What? So I said, "This is AR Rahman. Is that Vishwesh?" I said, "No, this is Zakir Hussain. You called up the wrong guy." It's like,
Oh
so
my.
I didn't believe it was him. I kept telling him, I told him, I literally said these words. I said, just keep talking and I'll tell you who you are. Eventually, I'll figure out who you are. So just keep saying something.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So then he said, he was really kind actually because he didn't like get angry or anything. Because I'm telling you, I was not polite at all. Because I thought, first of all, I I did not expect, whenever it's an unknown number, I think it's someone trying to sell me insurance or a credit card or something. So it's a very grumpy hello. It's like, what do you want? It's like that. Uh, and then this guy on the phone tells you this is AR. And I'm like, come on, chal, please try someone else.
Oh shit.
Try. And then
So where
he
did
says,
you get convinced?
maybe we should Skype.
Oh
I
wow.
said, yeah, we'll Skype. So he said, okay, can you text your ID to this number? I said, okay. I texted my ID and he popped on the screen
Straight away.
in a minute from then.
Phew. Okay.
Yeah. And I think first of all, I was absolutely mortified at that moment. And I was frozen, man. Like for a bit, I was frozen mainly because I can't believe I spoke like that to him in our first conversation. And then I had to, like, no, I think I wasn't even listening to what he was saying at first. I was just trying to formulate the most sincere apology a man formulate because I genuinely wanted him to know that, man, that's not how I talk to people. And then and how do you explain to him that, hey, man, listen, I've done a lot of prank calls in my life. someday someone's going to try and get back at me. That's why I thought it was you. The whole thing sounds fake. And he must have thought this guy must be such an obnoxious, rude person. It's my first conversation with him, and look at how he spoke to me. But he didn't look past all of that, and he just said, he said the words that I think any artist lives to hear. It's, I really like your work.
Wow.
I want to. That was it, and yeah, I think for the most part after that, I was still very tense about. I hope he doesn't remember this. Like, many meetings with him, I was just like, one day he's going to bring it up. That first call I had with you? I felt very bad. He spoke to me like that. I'm like expecting him to say it one day that I never expected you to speak to me like that, or something of that sort. And I'd just be like, oh God, what have I
done? Wow, amazing. I mean, it's, yeah, oof. Right. Well, I mean, I know I shivered like crazy when I received his email for the first time. And then talking to him on the phone later and stuff like that happened later. But yeah, okay. This is interesting.
Yeah.
Zakir Hussain.
I think that's what I said. I must have said Nusrat or something. I don't know. I think that's what I said.
Right.
He also is sometimes, I often say this to him sometimes. Like sometimes I tell him, I think sometimes you forget that you are A.R. Rahman. Like I say that to him. Like, do you remember that you are A.R. Rahman?
He doesn't take it to the head.
I don't know. He never. In fact, sometimes he'd be like, we'd finish at some 5 a.m. or something, and we would feel really on the film. There were times where we would have an excellent few hours, very productive, made tremendous breakthroughs, and were really, feel like we're prepared. And there's that. It's a great feeling. A night full of breakthroughs, and suddenly at 5 in the morning, he'd be like, let's go out and have breakfast. Let's go eat some. We'll have idli and coffee. Come.
Wow.
And you'd be like, I can do that. I can walk into a restaurant and I can sit there and I can say, I'd like a plate of idli and I'd like a plate of coffee. I don't think you'll make it to the table, because they'll spot you at the entrance and they'll never let you enter, and you'll be mobbed.
Yeah.
I mean, so sometimes he'll be like, yeah, crowd irukla. Then he'll say something and then be like, okay, then we'll be like, okay, let's order it. So sometimes he says it, without realizing that you are a public figure of perhaps the most eminent kind. And we're talking in Chennai.
Yeah. Oof.
If we were in Madrid or something, I'd still be like, you're sure no one will mob you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes he forgets, and I think that is the one single pointed, I would say that the tattoo of my experience with him has been this aspect of shedding your own, this whole thing. The world puts you on a pedestal. Like often you are putting me on a pedestal right now. No, I'm just saying, like, it's very kind of you, and I am very grateful that anyone confers any kind of respect or admiration or anything towards you. It's they are like blessings. They're hard to come by, and you must treasure each one of them. But the thing is that these things can distort your own identity of yourself. Like you start thinking of yourself as something else, and you forget why you started doing this in the first place. Most of the people in a creative field chose it because it's defining them like nothing else. They don't choose it because they want to make a lot of money, or they want to settle down, or because it's secure. It's anything but secure. In fact, the odds of success are quite against you most of the time. When I say success, I mean success in the most generic, general sense. In cinema or music, people often they mistake popularity for success.
True.
And popularity, like fame and infamy, are part of the same tree. And with enough time, you can't tell the difference between one and two. Sometimes you just recognize a person. You don't remember why you recognize. You just recognize. Like they could have been part of something horrible or something amazing. But eventually, it's just that your brain just recognizes people. So a lot of these kind of learnings came from working with him about how he just sheds the idea of, your heart beats a little faster when you read his names. In fact, it took me a long time to start seeing my name and his name being clubbed together a lot on this film.
Wow.
So it took me some time, because I think when you start hanging on with him as a person, eventually he disarms you. But his name still, it hits you, right? And then sometimes you read his name, and then your name is written right below it. Or, sometimes because I am the director of the film and he's the music director of the film, my name precedes his name sometimes. And then you're just like, something about that is horribly wrong, guys.
Right.
So, but it's more him than anything else. He just really, he diffuses it at once.
So you straight away accepted when he said, "I want to work with you"? Obviously, anyone would, I take it.
No, man, like I said, I look at my time as a creative person as a very finite time. There's some things that it's like how with cricketers or with beauty, I would say something like beauty, it has a certain shelf life, or it has a certain age, So I feel like creativity is a sum total of your passion and your perception and your sort of convergence of all of these things in your head. And that's how you're able to think of ideas. You can't always expect to think of ideas forever. You should not take that for granted. And if anything that I have done in my life has caught the attention of someone of the stature of A.R. Rahman, and he not only did it catch his attention, he took the effort of reaching out to me and said, let's do something together. I didn't care what it was about, even if it was a sketch at the back of a paper napkin, I'm still in, purely for the fact that someone reached out. I know I didn't reach out to him, he reached out to me. So I just wanted to, it was a proof that if you put your heart into the work that you do, eventually the ones that you admire will be aware of you. I didn't want it to lead to anything successful. That's not what I expected out of it. And I didn't look at it as a break or something. I was just like, it's unbelievable that he's aware of me, and whatever he wants, this is like my Guru Dakshina.
Wow.
I have learned so much without even knowing his name. Like I have said this once before, but his music used to make my stereo sound more expensive when I was young. I wasn't born into means, I was born in an extremely middle class, very academically skewed Tambram family that tried to use every appliance or equipment for as many years as they can, as most Tambram families do. My mom was the head of a school, and my father was in a bank, and but my father was tremendously welcoming of music of all forms. There used to be music of virtually every language playing in my house. And there was also a rule that before 10 a.m., you could not play film music. You only had to play devotional music and whatnot. And I didn't mind the devotional music. In fact, I liked it. But a lot of the film music I did not like unless his song was playing, which I didn't even know that it was his.
Yeah.
Like my father used to tell my mother, even on the AR Rahman, he used to tell my mother that.
Oh, wow.
because I used to only like when I would be like when he would play any music, I'd be like, I don't mind that cassette, but not that cassette, because I don't know how to read Tamil. So I would just point at a cassette and I'm like, that's fine. If you're going to play this music, like sometimes my father would watch TV, he'd be watching a Telugu film or a Malayalam film, and I can't understand anything. So I used to like be like, you can choose any channel you want. I should just be able to understand it. So so somehow, like when TT came, or when Rhythm also, I loved Rhythm as an album.
For sure.
And Pudhiya Mugam.
Oh yes, I played a song just this morning.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, these were very seminal. Like I started paying attention to mixing because of it.
Right.
I started understanding the idea of a mix, because like clearly this verse is, say, something that was from another Hindi song that's of a popular film that everybody is listening to. That was from another music director. Sounded completely different on the same stereo. So I started paying attention to that, and I suppose subliminally it was guiding me. And then the way he used to use orchestral elements suddenly, and like chord changes. I started calling them chord changes after I started learning instruments. Of course, like I said, in my mainstream world, this was underground, because I was in a Bombay household listening to Tamil music. That was underground. If you step outside, it's Bollywood everywhere.
Yeah.
And until Rangila came, I think there was no Rahman in Bollywood. But after that, so I'm talking about the years before that. I was 9, I think. I was 8 or 9 at this time. So it's so for now, this person who I used to unconsciously like calls you up. I mean, if you ask me to recarpet his studio, I'll do it.
In fact, like when I met Sir for the first time, that was in Delhi. I think I flew all the way from Australia just to meet him, because there was going to be a concert in Delhi. This is in 2017, November, I think, or December. That was for the encore concert. I flew all the way just to meet him, and that was probably the first time I was going to meet him in person. And when I met him, I told him, "Sir, I've come all the way from Melbourne." He said, "Oh, wow, great. Wow, why did you have to come all the way?" No, I said, "Sir, anything for you." Blah blah blah. That went on, and then he said, "Yeah, let's catch up after the concert at my room." And then so yeah, I went there to his concert, enjoyed it, and then came back, and then we had a conversation just outside his room as we were entering, and then I told him, "Sir, you know what? Even if you had a role of a security guard or something, I'll leave everything in Australia and come to you." And he's like, "Dude, you'll get bored in 2 days and leave me."
Yeah. So, yeah, no, man. I think that it's a privilege for anybody to call up and say that I like your work and I want to work with you, and for that person to be someone who is perhaps the most important creative export out of India. Someone that has literally been the only person, I think, that the entire country would choose as if the aliens came and they would be like, "Oh, we need one guy from India." You'd be like, "That's our guy." Please. That's, I'm saying that it's like, he has always brought nothing but a glorious sense of your own. Even for me, even more, because my mother tongue is Tamil, but I live in a city that doesn't need me to speak it. And he reconnects me back to that. So it's my mother tongue, which even in my family, like because of my mom being from a school, she would only speak to me in Tamil if like something's up, if some serious conversation that needs to be had, or if I'm in trouble. If she says that, it means, oh man, I'm screwed. So Tamil was never a language that I thought in. I never needed to communicate in it. After I grew up a little bit enough to start communicating freely with my brother or my parents. But he used to make me, his music used to make me maybe find out what a few words mean. Like, what does this line mean? Why is he saying it like that? So like Verlai Murray was something I was like, it's something that I thought was such an interesting way to describe snow.
So true. So true. Yeah.
But then my father would sometimes. My father loves analysis. Like,
Right. Right.
I mean, I don't know if he does anymore, but as a kid, he used to try and uh, ask you to think a bit more than what's presented.
Right. Right. Okay.
And I think those are sort of very unconscious tools I also carry with me when I am creating.
Yeah.
Is what would, if this was something my father and his 9-year-old second son was
Mm.
sitting and watching, what would he pick up on? Would he pick up on the unspoken or the intangible details in it?
Right.
And I also have to say that apart from Dilse,
Mm.
uh, I never thought any film matched the visuals for his music.
Mm. Yeah.
I did. I didn't think. I thought everyone just kind of did what the hell they want and didn't. I mean, when I say everyone, I mean, like, the visual, like the amount of attention he puts into
Mm.
feeling
Mm.
when he's arranging something or mixing something or choosing to slow something down, minimalize something, or aggrandize something. It was, I mean, when you work with him, you realize that you literally have to pry it off his hands. Because if you leave him with it, he will continuously be detailing it.
Wow.
He,
Wow.
he never lets it go until the day before, like, or even on the morning where it has to be presented, he would have done something.
Oh, wow.
So I think that is again, and once he does it, right, once it's gone, he doesn't even look at it.
He moves on.
Yeah, it's gone. Like,
Right.
you got to remind him what
Right.
you're talking. It's gone. Like,
Phew.
it's yesterday.
Right.
So I think that always kind of makes you also stop being pleased with your ideas. Because we do that, right? Sometimes it's like on a simplest level, I'll tell you,
Mm.
uh, it's like being happy that you did something. It's like you take anything, you take a workout, you take like straightening up your room or cleaning up your desktop, whatever it is. You did it once, and then you're like, yeah, I did. But you literally need to do it again very shortly. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Like, it's something of that sort. It's like the
Yeah.
amount he sits and details out something, and once it has been displayed, or once it's taken, right, it's gone.
Right.
But
Right.
uh,
Wow.
but until that point, he's
Mm.
always
Right.
pulling, or he's always up to something. So I kind of took some of that. I still have kept some of that. I mean, I've tried to emulate that after 99 songs in anything that I've been involved in.
Right.
I've tried to do that.
Right. I can't wait to ask you more and more about 99. So, um, any memories of the day one of the shoot with the man himself being around with you, being the producer as well? Did
Well,
that keep your toes? Just out of curiosity, the fact that, well, your idol, you're working with him. Number two is also the writer, also the producer, and it's it is going to be hard to please him.
well, I'll tell you, the harder part was that he and I disagree a lot.
Okay.
It's a
Problem number one.
no, I think it is why we work together,
Okay.
because I think almost like, if two people agreed all the time, uh, there would mean something is amiss. Either the two of you actually think alike, or someone's not being truthful here. One
Wow.
of us is not being truthful.
Right.
And that's the brilliant part about him, right? Like, I am generally the type of person that feels that if I do not tell you how I truly feel, I'm going to do it at some point, and this is the best time to do it, because we haven't taken a step in any given direction.
Yeah. Right.
So now is a better time for me to say it than after 5 steps. I'm like, you know what? I actually didn't like that. And then the other person will be like, why didn't you say anything at that time? We often say that, right? Like even arguments with our family or whatever, is like, why didn't you say something?
Correct.
So I often make it a point where he puts an idea on the table, and he gets 100 ideas a day.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's also that kind of he's bursting with the sort of feverish excitement of, and you often will get a call that'll last like 30 seconds. I had an idea. And he'll say something like, think about it. He's gone.
I can relate to it.
Yeah. So he, and we did, have a lot of, but we also had the same world views. Like our philosophical grounding was the same. So on some level, our disagreements were founded on the same thing. It's, we weren't looking at it from a different spiritual perspective or, on a moral perspective. If anything, it was actually the exact same perspective. So it made very cogent arguments. And I think I loved the serving and balling of that, because both of us were keen to know why the other thinks that way.
Right. Did he like getting challenged, the fact that he puts an idea on the table and then you try to not that you don't try to agree with it, but you're trying.
I think he did. I think he might have. I think what I can tell you without the fear of contradiction, that he does not like denial of an idea without exploring it to some extent.
Okay. Yeah.
Like suppose you say that I don't think there should be guitars on the song.
Yeah.
Okay. Suppose he says, no, I think it would be great to put guitars on the song. And or you say, I think there should be guitars in the song. And he's like, I don't think there should be guitars. If we part from this decision without even hearing the guitar in the song, then we've done something wrong.
Right. Yeah.
So let's put the guitar in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then let's be honest about, is it working? And then sometimes he would be right, sometimes I would be right. And the guitar is just a metaphor. Like sometimes it would be about, and I used to often tell him that we'll write this as a line, but you may never need the character to say this, because by then not saying it would mean much more.
Yeah.
We're saying it right now because we're reading a story.
Yeah.
So we need it said in some way. But once these are not names you're reading, these are faces you recognize and start rooting for. Sometimes you don't want there are many times where you forgive or you hold your words back in real life. Like as an example of real life, you don't say anything. You felt bad, your friend did something, you don't say anything. Or you really want to call up someone and say you meant a lot to me, but you never end up doing that. Or something. These are really very subtle details that we write down, and then we're like, once we start seeing it, right? We may feel that one wouldn't do this,
right?
Which he was always open to.
Has there been moments where he has said, "Hey, Vishwesh, I don't like that idea"?
Yeah. All the time. There's also been moments where I'll be like, hey, so I think that idea is really bad. I don't want to do it.
Okay.
There's been many all the time. I think that the good part was that we developed a graceful way of doing it. Right. It was never like that. Like I said, right? It's not about the attachment of the idea. It's about the reason for it to at any given point of time, two people can say, literally, when two people want to put a sofa in a room, you could say, I want to put it here. Another person say, I want to put it there. Now, you just need to understand, why do you think that is better? Or why do you think that is the best spot? And that really is the point. So any choices any characters make, right? If someone disagrees with you, it is your innate responsibility to find out what they're feeling. Much more than them knowing how you're feeling.
Is this how you've always been, or is this something that you developed working with him? Just curious, that's all.
I think you're in filmmaking, you never end up uh, having the same ideas.
Yeah.
Very few times. It's not just with AR. I mean, I with my DOP all the time with the AR's mixing engineer. Suddenly, like the way he would mix up the song during a sequence that involves something that's emotionally elsewhere, and I'd be like, "Am I listening to a song right now? Or am I watching a character go through
Yeah.
a crucial point in his life? So at that point, I want to hear his breathing. I don't want to hear the song.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'd be like up the breathing in the mix. So and then he'd be like, no, it's actually the music that's going to drive it. So we are filmmaking or collaborations are the foundation of it is disagreements.
Yeah.
Disagreements are not alien to this. We are always meant to disagree because it means you believe in something very strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really that you have to find the grace in it to
Yeah.
be able to not be dismissive of another person's ideas, even if they may be incorrect in your opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But to truly emulate, like think about why someone feels like that. Like everybody's been through a whole different set of experiences. Like listening to people speak Hindi for you or Tamil for you must be, it might push you into memories of back home or or something, or like if you were in another place and then you see a color or you see a food item or an animal or someone with that same accent or same dress, a car, like familiarity. We put together these collection of decisions for
Yeah.
fictitious characters because we are on some level are the prism through which the story is hitting,
Yeah.
and then and a bunch of these decisions pop up,
Yeah.
and there no two prisms are alike,
Right.
and you expect that. And the thing is, I have sort of deliberately stayed away from mainstream cinema because I feel like I really, I lose my sleep if I don't do good work. I need to put out work. I don't want. Personally, I'm not interested if it is popular. Personally, but I need it to be impactful for and influential. Like the films that got me into films, more people should have seen them. It's like I always divided music, even songs, right? I divided into three basic categories. The first category is that I really like this song because it's a good song or whatever. I like the tune or I like the way it sounds. The second category is this song takes me into the memory of something that I care about. My father used to like the song. My ex-girlfriend used to remember the song, whatever that may be. And the third and the most important category is I want to learn music.
Nice.
Songs that make you say that.
Amazing.
So I want to learn how to make music, or I want to learn how to play an instrument, and this song is responsible for that. So similarly, like there are films, there are books, there are stories, again, that can be put into the same three categories. I like it because it's cool. I like it because it reminds me of something, and it is beyond like. It has resonated with you on a consciousness level, and now you want to somehow embrace uh, how can I engage with this? How can I be a part of it? So filmmaking became that in my life because of certain things I saw. Not all of them popular. I didn't see the most popular, highest grossing film in the world and say I want to be a filmmaker. That never happened. I saw the film no one has seen. Like not enough people had seen. Like my favorite film in the last few years, I hope enough people have seen it, was a film called Kaka Mutte, which was
I have. Yes.
excellent, very modest, but very. It felt like a novel. It felt like it had the details of a novel. A film, right? The problem that I find with a film is that it comes with a time limit. It comes with a 2 hour limit. Okay, no matter what your story is, you gotta like fit it in that. It's like no matter where you travel, the flight has to be 2 hours. It's sort of like that, where it doesn't let whereas a book, no one tells you, hey, don't make a book more than 300 pages. You can read an 1800 page book.
True.
and it can speak in details. You can, whether it's descriptive details or character details or the past or generations, or it can, you can do a lot more with that. And I feel that with films, it's a little bit of it's also commercially more entrenched in the economics of it, unlike, say,
Mm.
you know,
Mm.
other forms of art where things can be made even if it's not for the economics.
Yeah.
But without economics, a film doesn't exist.
True.
It takes money to put a film together. It takes finances and whatnot. So eventually you strike a balance within yourself about what are you doing for heart, what are you doing because you're a professional. Like I am a professional. I call myself a professional aesthetic surgeon. I mean, I am a surgeon of aesthetics. I am a filmmaking surgeon. I will take any writing and will make it within my aesthetics, and I will bring it, uh, and that process, in the basis of it is collaboration. And initially, when I was making this, I was writing the screenplay with Sir, and then as I started putting it together, it kept hitting me. Like, whenever I would go back home, my friends or like other filmmakers that I hang with, or like, they would always be like, "Hey man, it's your first film, all the best. Hey man, it's your first film, all the best. I hope you do well. It's your first film. It's your first film." And they would keep saying that to me, right? And pretty soon I realized, it's his first film.
Yeah.
As much as it is my first film.
Correct.
So then why wouldn't that mean that he would want those things in it as much as I do?
Yeah.
It's like raising a child, right? One parent will say, "I want this child to learn Sanskrit." Other parent will say, "I want this child to learn French." One child will say, "I want a Carnatic violin." Other parent will say, "I want to learn classical piano. He should be playing Chopin." So I understood that, and in this given scenario, this is what I have to understand, that it is AR Rahman's first film, and he had the idea for the story. He came up with these characters. And he called me up and he said, "Will you bring them to life?"
Wow.
I had to kind of keep pulling myself back into saying, so I started saying, I have to be honest to him, but I have to make a film that he likes above all else.
Correct.
That became the most important thing for me, that I have to make a film because, it, like I said, it was a Guru Dakshina experience for me. Like, I am repaying someone who has had such an influence on me. And that is what I wanted to stay true to. So I kind of told myself, I'll make my first film after I make this.
Right.
Where I can be a bit more adamant about my way.
Wow.
So in this, I was like, I would, wherever it came in the way of logic or aesthetics or, those aspects of things, I would certainly be pushing back with him a lot.
Right.
Like I remember this one time, and one or two moments with him were insane, man. Like, there was this one composition. It was the Oracle, actually.
Yeah.
And I was filming the Oracle. And we had just composed a basic, the piece on piano. And he had given it to me to time it and all of that. And I was filming with it, and I sat with, I tend to plan things a lot, like even camera speed and, how fast is something going to move and everything. Like, I do a lot of that kind of planning. So I was sitting with my DP and the jib operator who had to move things in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I was playing the song repeatedly while we were doing it, so that we do it at the speed of the song.
Yeah.
But then what started happening was that it was just a piano. So I wasn't getting the move. Now, if you listen to the Oracle, you'll listen to the kind of grandeur that it comes with. There's a sort of thunderous snowballing in the song. It starts getting bigger and bigger. But that wasn't there. It was just there in piano, right? So I sense that they aren't able to hear that, because in my head, I know that's how it's conceived. Yeah. Eventually, those parts will come. But they didn't. So I was like, this is, it's affecting the way I'm filming. So what I did was, I got a reference track of the same tempo.
Okay.
Okay. And I was playing that for them to do the movement.
Wow.
Okay. So he comes on set halfway through and he's watching, and then he's like, what is this song? So I said, I'm using a reference. He's like, but I sent you. No. I said, yeah, you just sent, but there was only piano on that. There's so much happening. And I need, my guys are not feeling the sort of thump they need to feel. And then I showed him what I was doing.
Mm.
He's like, okay, I get it. So he's like, how many days are you going to shoot this sequence? I said, today and tomorrow. He said, okay, cool. So he never sits on set for too long. He'll come sit for a few hours, have a chat, have a coffee, and then next thing you know, you'll go to say something and he's gone. Because he doesn't like the crowd on set. So he kind of, he avoids it. And then I had finished a bunch of things. And usually when he comes on set, I prepare a lineup for him just to see what we've done in the day. And I prepared that lineup, and I asked one of my assistants to say, can you just check if he's free to come? Or if not, I'll take the stuff to him. Like, I'll take all this crap into his van. So if he can come here, it'll be easier because there's a big monitor and all that. So he goes and he comes back and he says, oh, sir left at 2 p.m. And I'm talking at some 11 p.m. in the night. I finished.
Okay.
So I said, oh, I didn't know that, right? And then we're like, okay, so then we wrap and we're going to be back the next day, right? At 4 a.m., I get an email with a wave where he completely arranged it, the Oracle, so that I can shoot it the next day.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So that was like, for me, I was like, I was like, that is why he's here.
Yeah. So did you have to redo what you did on day one then? I'm just curious.
No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't, because we did alter some movements, but it got everybody excited. Like, it was one of those moments where the jib operator, was listening to the song like that for like, and then he'll look up and he'll just nod like, I get it, man. It was most times, right? Like the technicians you get on set, I have no idea what you're making.
Yeah.
Because this is what they're on a different set every day, or every few days they're on a different set. They're not constants on your set.
Yeah.
So
right.
So you have to provide a lot of guidance, and so day one he knew what he was doing on the second day, and then he was surprised at the fact that kal to aapne sirf piano sunaya tha. Where did all this
And when you met Sir next, did he have a laugh? He's like, hey, no, you see what I did? Not really. Yeah.
He'd be like, you got the email, no? Yeah. You liked it? I said, yeah. Can be better. He'll say it. I don't even have to say it.
Yeah. Hey, I have to tell you something very interesting. So this is like at the start of the lockdown, I think. Towards the end of Feb or start of March-ish, the lockdown was kicking in here in Melbourne, and it was very gloomy. And I was like, shit, man, this is something that I've never seen before. So I took some pictures and I sent it to Sir. And then he responded back saying, hey, you know what? This is actually good in a way, less pollution, right? I said, yeah, sir, that is true. And then I told him, sir, things are looking very, very gloomy. I think you should release something more like a universal prayer or something so that it heals us. And then in response to that was a smiley. And the next day, there was an announcement about 99 songs audio releasing. And then I responded back to him, sir, now I know what your smiley meant yesterday. And he put another smiley for that. Right? So that's
so rose.
So 99 songs release is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I somehow feel that this was he goes with his instinct, as we know, and he's also impulsive at times. The little that I know about him, that was his decision, I take it, to just release the whole album. Or am I wrong? Or was it a planned audio release?
I don't think it was planned. My personal opinion is that we strive to create or make a finished product that we were all proud of first.
Yeah.
And for me, it was really more like looking at my parent with a mark sheet. And, so for me, it was more important for him to like the film than for me to like the film.
Mm.
It might probably be the only time in my entire career that I would say that. But it was like, man, I feel very privileged that he calls me a friend, because I always saw him on a paternal kind of figure. For me, it was, but I know he would hate hearing me say that, because it would make him feel old. but I always looked at him more on a mentor or a father, almost
Yeah.
that kind of a figure, right? And
Yeah.
I have had one or two moments with him which have been absolutely like dad son moments,
Mm.
which insanely dad son moments. But because he really showers me with encouragement.
Mm.
Like, he has been so, like, anytime, like this one day I sat in his like, there's barely any guitars, okay, in Panchatam.
Mm.
Once a while you may see like a guitar there, but it's mostly only pianos there. And my sort of first instrument is the guitar.
Yeah.
And one day I just, he walked in, and he keeps forgetting. He used to keep forgetting that I am a guitar player. He keeps looking at me as a vocalist or something. So and I was sitting there and I was playing guitar. He's like, "Hey, you play guitar, huh?" So I said, "How many times to tell you I play guitar?" It was like one of those things. And there was this one moment also when Mani sir walked in. This was,
Oh,
I think, during Chekka Chivandavanam.
yeah.
And Mani sir walked in, and he thought I am one of his mixing engineers or musicians or something. And like, again, Mani sir, I kind of went like, oh crap, I can't be loud. Usually in Panchatan, I'm a little bit of a brat. Like, I walk in anywhere, I sit anyhow. I just, because after a point, I'm like, it's so won't say anything, sort of thing. So, and he lets me like try out some of his gear.
Mm.
Or like, if there's some analog stuff and all, so I know he wouldn't mind if there's a lot of VR stuff and all that. So I
Mm.
do enjoy, because he's always got some new gizmo,
Mm.
something new. He's just opened and he's just set up, and last night he must have been playing with it. He's left it set up and he's gone. So when I used to come, I would like sometimes try and, like, like a little kid, play with his gear. And so he saw me play this guitar, and the next time we met, and it was a Taylor, okay, it's like a spruce top Taylor. It's like, I would say that for a person like me, unless I'm worthy of that guitar, I would never buy it.
Mm. Mm.
Like, I am that guy. Like, if you buy a guitar like that, means you got to play like
Mm.
worthy of that guitar.
Mm.
If
Mm.
you're playing some nonsense, then you buy any guitar. You don't need that.
Mm.
So I never felt like I had done enough in my life to own a Taylor.
Wow.
And the next time I met him, right, he gives me a Taylor.
Phew. That's him.
So he would keep showering encouragement. He would always push. He's like, don't let the passion die. I love the fact that you're passionate. Just in many ways that I can encourage it. Like, he saw me one day in we were in the US, and we spoke about some changes on the edit, and we saw one version of the thing. And in the night, I went back to the room, and for some reason, I don't know, I just did the changes, okay, right there. And then I went back to, in the next morning, the next meeting, and next morning again we were sitting down together, and I showed him that, and he's like, "You already did it, huh?" So I said, "Yeah." It's like, he did something like that, like, no, very fast, something like that. That evening, he gave me download codes for 3-4 editing softwares. Like, he said, take now, download, experiment. No, so he always does that. Like, he sees you take one step, no, and he'll give you the means or the propulsion to take 5 more steps.
Wow.
So I think that because of that, right, with whatever the dissemination of this film was, so it's a very long answer to your question. Was it planned? Beyond a point, right? Completing it and creating that
Yeah.
full final form of it was like, as one of the parents of this film, that is what I had to do.
Mm, mm.
And after that, I would just tell him how I feel, but I would leave it to his comfort.
Right. Okay.
Like, because, like I keep saying, right, as much as it is my first film, it is his first film.
True.
Not just as a writer, but as a producer,
Yeah.
someone that's going to make more films and put it out. And,
Yeah.
I can't, I have to be more accommodating of the vision of his life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, as a director, I'll tell you, you're, you're not as much at risk as you are when you're a producer. You really put a lot of things on the line.
Mm,
I
mm,
think that I saw him take many radical calls on this film
mm,
creatively, and just standing up for excuse me, standing up for the things he believes in. And I think that it's a remarkable trait,
mm,
to have in a producer.
mm,
No producer does that. They look at market readings and stats and do that which is going to
mm,
be the safest thing to do. He, on the other hand, just follows his heart so much that I will tell him what I think, is the
mm.
right thing to do. But eventually, I stand by whatever decision he takes, especially to do with, let's release it now, let's not release it now. Like, I'll tell him what I feel. If I think now is too early, I say that. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop him if he says no. I want to do it now. I'm like, man, I'm with you no matter what you want, no matter what it is you feel is right. I'm with you on this.
So were you
So
happy when 99 Songs audio came out?
yeah, I was very happy. I think I mean,
I thought I
my
got a pause before you said yes.
I was wondering. Well, I was thinking about the day the audio release had happened. And there was some songs in it that I wanted to prepare edits for, or something of that sort had happened. And by then I had already moved on to other things. We'd completed the film, and I'd been on the film for many years. Like,
Yeah.
it
No.
was my life for years. And the day it got over, like, finally the other, my producer in Bombay and the other, they just saw, like, they're like literally, dragging me out of Panchatan.
Right. Right.
So then, and I had to start some other projects also that I'd sort of softly committed to.
Right.
And yeah, so some level it was a bittersweet, like, the fact that 99 songs goes out, it means um, it doesn't belong to me anymore. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
True. True. Yeah.
So I think that's the pause, actually. It was
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
it was a bidai, more like a release.
So, what's your gut feel where, with everything that's happening? When is your baby going to see the big screen?
I have no idea, man. I think
Yeah.
I am optimistic about it,
Yeah.
and I know that with him, I mean, and with this film, there's so much heart and honesty that's gone into it, that I think that it will get what it deserves. I think it will get its due as well.
For
But
sure.
I can't say when. I can't
Yeah.
say when. I can only be sort of optimistic about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And how is our man Ehan doing with everything that's happening and this being his debut? How is he keeping himself positive? Is he focused, and what's going on in his mind?
I mean, all Ehan and Tenzin,
Yeah.
they actually, I told them when I finished this film, I was like, I'm ready for fatherhood because of you two. Because I literally raised them
Yeah.
like a dad, and it used to be a lot, very, very dad-like as well. There's a
Yeah.
lot of yelling, and then, I love you. It was a lot like that. I did enjoy the sort of the raising of Jay and Polo.
Mm.
He's a, you know a very sensitive heart.
Mm.
But I think what he does right is that he keeps his family close.
Mm.
He's always in touch with them. And the two of them are always in touch. I mean, our first WhatsApp group that we created for the film just to exchange ideas still exists after all these years. We're still, we still forward messages and talk to each other. And these days it's been pictures of food that we've been cooking. But, like Ehan's actually a very good cook. So is Polo.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
Ehan makes more complicated things, I think, more Kashmiri recipes as well. But yeah, I think both of them are, no matter what, like one of my favorite moments in this journey was actually in Busan when they saw the film for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it was all we could talk about for the next few days that we were in Korea. I think that was for me 80% of my sort of the constricted feeling I had about this film. What is it going to release? What's happening? And all, there's this whole you hold your breath in about it, and then that screening happened, and those few days that I spent with these two boys on a sort of analysis of the film, 80% of that weight was lifted off me, and my mind got a little clear, and I was ready to achieve closure as far as the film went.
Right.
Because, like I said, for me, it's more about completing the product. It's about making it a finished thing, and then Sagar, dove. You don't tell the dove where to fly. You just let it off. Let it leave your hands. And that's all I saw. I just saw myself letting go. Like it's complete now. It's up to Sir as to what he wants to do with it and when. And he's got my unflinching support no matter which direction he wants.
The outcome.
In some ways, and in some ways, I would say that I feel like I should have done better.
Yeah.
But I always make this statement that you leave me long enough with my own work, and I will find a way to hate it.
Right. Yeah. I understand.
I feel like anything that I have been a part of, even if it is something that I did many years, like when I listened to my band's first album, at that time, it was seminal. It was influential. It created the scene. But today, when I listen to it, I'm wincing half the time and I'm rubbing my eyes saying, what the hell was I thinking? So I think on an artistic level, I don't allow myself to get too chuffed. I feel if something is I think the highest compliment I give myself is it's not bad. So if I'm happy with the outcome, I'm happy that Sir is happy. You put it that way. I think I could have done better.
Okay.
I should have done better.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. And considering that this has taken quite a bit to when it started and when it finished, has this been, how should I put it? You probably would have had some of the greatest memories as well as part of the making of this movie, right? Is it something that you will cherish for a long, long time?
All my life, I think. I think that in so many ways, I think that everything that happened on this film, the amount of time it took to write, cast, to film, to come to a favorable runtime.
Yeah.
We had enough. Our first edit was 4.5 hours.
Oof.
So we had enough for 2 films.
Wow.
So now it's a 2-hour film.
Wow.
So, it's so that whole, within that itself, there's a lifetime. In just bringing that in, right? It's like the composition of the songs, the score itself, all the times I've spent in Chennai on screenplay, on dialogues, on pre-visualizations, on VFX, all of that, I think that there will never be another opportunity to make a film like the way we made this film.
True, true, true.
And so I think that everything that has happened with it, and the most important thing being that I don't think that any film director has got to spend so much time with ARR.
True,
On
true. Very true. Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, that is, I suppose, the bragging rights on it.
Why not?
To speak on a more sort of
Yeah, yeah,
meaningful level, I think that I'll never get to make a film like this again.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
nothing happens for the first time twice. So it's like
Mm,
it can only happen once.
mm, mm.
There was a line in something that in something that I'd made in 2012, where an old man speaks of mistakes that he had made when he was a young person, and he said, "Well, the only thing that has never happened again after that day is that I never turned 18 again." So I forgive myself for what I did then. So in that sense, right, on a similar sort of philosophical way, this thing can happen only once, right?
True.
So it's always going to be with me. It's always going to be that I was I was the womb for this thing, and I don't hold anything in negative light at all with film. I'm most proud about the fact that we took many radical approaches to it, and all I try to do with everything. I don't know if you've seen the Jwalamukhi female video, but for me, it was very important that his music and the visuals seem like they come from the same philosophical place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's all I strive to do, no matter what the budget constraints were. I tried to make this film visually as AR Rahman as the music was.
For sure, the visuals were stunning, absolutely stunning. I personally cannot wait to watch it, Vishwesh. When it comes out, I will at least ensure that I will do no matter what to make it a hit, at least in Australia, because I know I'll have control of that with the network that I've built or I'm building, and um, with the people who are coming forward to support. That's probably the right thing to say. Yeah.
It's very kind of you, man. We are lucky to have your patronage on the film.
Thank you. I mean, the least I can do as a fan for my idol and his baby and the likes of yourself working with him to make it happen, right? And so I know we've gone over an hour, Vishwesh, and as much as I would have loved to keep you here for hours and hours and just talk about it, unfortunately, we will have to come towards the end of the podcast. So one of the things I was going to ask you was if you had to pick 5 of your most favorite songs which Sir has composed, what would that be? And that can be from 1992. I know Kirikachi might come.
Yeah. Kirikachi was definitely one song.
Dilse?
Adiye.
From Kadal. Adiye, yeah.
Sorry?
I know it's a tough thing to pick. Just 5.
Yeah, it is. I can't believe you're being so cruel to me.
I'm so sorry.
Rasati.
Oh, wow. I heard that just yesterday. True.
Paragar Nadikaro.
Oh, wow. From Sangamam.
Yes.
Great.
The Bombay theme.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Amazing.
and the Oracle from 99 Songs.
Oh yeah, I love Oracle so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing.
The Oracle happened right in front of my eyes. So,
Yeah,
and plus that moment, like I said, that happened on set with him.
yeah.
So
Oof,
it was it
amazing.
was so actually it was a cross between the Oracle and Soja Soja, which
Mm,
is actually my favorite song from 99 Songs.
mm.
Uh, but if you ask me to pick 5 AR Rahman songs, then the Oracle would trump Soja Soja. But on 99 Songs, my favorite song is Soja Soja,
Yeah.
because I
Sasha was on the podcast too, and
oh
she.
yeah, well, she's yeah, but the thing is that it's very difficult to blend mainstream with a genre that has so much
Yeah,
about it that is not mainstream, which
yeah,
is what jazz is.
yeah.
And he did it masterfully. And
Mm,
she just,
mm.
she nailed it.
Yeah,
Absolutely nailed it. Yeah.
for sure, for sure. Well, Vishwesh, coming to the end of the podcast, and I see a guitar behind you. Am I stretching the boundaries of a friendship to get you to play something?
Oh yeah, because I don't know any AR song as such, but I've been practicing scales through lockdown.
Okay.
Um, so I think eventually I'll try and learn the Oracle for guitar or something.
I was actually going to get you to play Oracle with that.
No, and if I turn around, you'll see about 6 guitars in that corner actually.
Ooh, oh wow.
Yeah, I got the goods out because now there's a lot more time I spend indoors.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we've been all my gear is actually strewn about everywhere. It's an absolute mess. So I've
yeah.
strategically placed this camera so you don't see it.
And have you spoken to Sir lately?
Yeah, I mean we talk quite a bit. Um,
Yeah.
I think like I said, he treats me like a friend, and I cannot tell you the privilege of that feeling. Um,
Mm,
and sometimes I dare call him a friend as well.
mm, mm. Very nice.
It's, yeah, but
Great.
I'm usually always very hesitant to do that. Uh,
Yeah. So, Vishwesh, we have spoken for almost an hour and a half. I know I might not have touched on things that I probably should have asked. Is there anything that I didn't ask and you wanted to talk about?
oh no, man! Yeah, actually there is. I wanted to ask you that.
I'm in trouble.
No. Actually, no. I wanted to know you. I wanted to get to know you a bit better because I feel like very few people really manifest what they love.
Yeah.
And what prompted you and to really act upon your inspiration in such a detailed sort of way, and be as committed to it as you've been, because it's very inspiring to know that a person like you exists. Uh, that it's because if the one thing that I learned from you is that if I love something, then I must take charge of that passion, and I must pursue it with tirelessly, which
Mm.
I see that you've been doing. Uh, I mean, apart from, I think there's others marathon medals on the
Yeah.
left that I see there. Yeah.
On the
I bet you did. I bet you did that only to listen to 42 kilometers of A.R. Rahman's music. I'm sure.
very rightly said. Very rightly said. Yes.
So, so I mean, I actually wanted to learn a bit more about,
Sure.
apart from we know we can see that that there is love behind what you do, but the idea of how does one uh, fuel one's passion the way you have, and I would like to learn that from you. So that is what I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you about.
I'll happily share it, but I really wanted to tell you about a conversation that you and I had a couple of days ago. Might have been 3, 4 days ago, I think, on the phone when you and I were on the phone. You actually said the same thing that you love something and then you work towards manifesting it, and you got me thinking. about it. At the end of the conversation, I was like, okay, this is something that no one has ever told me about it. And now I was starting to realize about what you had just said, because I had not personally thought about it. So I, the fact that it happened in my case, the fact that I absolutely love and adore Sir, and he has recognized that, and he's showering love back at me now, and there are certain things that I can't go in depth and explain, but I only feel blessed that I'm thinking it must have been a blessing from the top, that this love is pure and this is meant to happen this way. Now, don't want to digress way too far ahead from what I'm saying, but I have always adored Sir from a long, long time, and it has always been a dream for me uh, to, how should I put it, to be associated with him in some shape or form, and um, and and then my love for him has always been totally unconditional, and it gives me goosebumps when I talk about it or talk about him. And then, of course, there has never been a day without his music. 24/7, there is music. Of course, during the time I sleep, there is no music. But of course, otherwise, there is his music all the time, regardless of whatever I'm doing. And I'm working IT, so I always have my headphones on. And it is his music which always plays. It gives me positivity. It gives me the inspiration. It gives me the motivation to do what I want. And it has also given me the determination to achieve goals that I had never even dreamt of. As an example, I used to be a 106 kilo guy before, and one day I decided to change my life. Overnight, I decided, you know what, I'm making a change in my life. Without knowing what I was going to do, I just went to bed, and the next day I woke up and I hit the gym. And I said to them, I want to lose weight. I want to sign up for a membership. And they were like, okay, we'll sign up a PT with you and things like that. I said, no, 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 no. I don't want anything. I want to rediscover myself. And but as part of the process, it took me 6 months to lose 46 kilos. But I know in those 6 months, I couldn't have done it without his music. And his music played a bigger role for me in that phase. And life changed for me. I was a super introverted guy prior to losing weight. I would have never fired up my laptop and had a conference call with another person like this. That was never me. I was confined to a world that I had built for myself, which was very more of a comfort zone, where I was not ready to step out of, where it involved I was lazy, not driven, not determined. I didn't know whatever determination was, and my life was more like finish work, go back home, go buy a family pizza, have like 4 beers after that, be happy, and next day it went on and on and on. But one day, I don't know, whatever happened, I said I want to change this. So his music really helped me. That's one of the instances. And aside from that, I don't know. I don't know I could ever live without his music. I don't listen to any other music, so I might be extremely ignorant about what's happening outside, which I know it may not be the right thing to do, but for me this works. It totally works for me. And of course, last year, I always wanted to get my dream car, which was a BMW Z4. I worked really hard towards getting that, and then I know the day I booked my car, I went and booked my number plate here in Victoria Roads. That's the authority that gives you the registration plates and all that. And I went for I Love ARR. I paid a big sum to get that, but I wanted that. That's it. There was no looking back, because number one, I was getting my dream car. Number two is I wanted to cherish for the rest of my life, saying it wasn't like I wanted to show off anything, or absolutely not. Absolutely nothing like that. It was more like, for me, saying I have worked towards something and I wanted to cherish by having my idol's name on it. So even today, it's been a year since I've got my car now. Even today, it feels very special when I when I'm right next to the car and take a picture with the number plate behind me, it just feels like Sir is behind me. So, and now coming to my dedication to whatever I'm doing. This is another interesting thing, as I briefly touched on during our phone conversation the other day too, where I was sitting on the couch. I was like looking up. Okay, I'll hear a AR Rahman podcast. Nothing came up, and I wanted to start then. I said I am starting now, and I stuck to it.
Mm.
And so the journey has been magical. I think, I don't know. I feel that I'm being blessed. The fact that the likes of yourself and so many others have come forward and supported me. And Sir himself came on the podcast, and I told Sir that, Sir, I only feel like I'm on a dream run right now, where everyone I have gone and asked have come forward for the podcast, and I've had like 38 odd guests so far, and now you're here. Uh, I don't know what to even say. And he said, your intent is right, and that said a lot. And well, I mean, I feel that my love for him has been absolutely unconditional, and also I'm not looking at any returns, no monetization whatsoever, absolutely nothing. I'm just doing it out of pure love. And then Sir is acknowledging that love, and he's coming forward and helping me in a number of other things. I just feel special, Vishwesh. That's all. But I know I've digressed quite a bit from what you asked me. But in terms of,
I don't think you have actually.
I feel I've only been blessed in terms of being able to manifest what I've absolutely loved and adored. Long story short answer. So it's come
What
as a
was the
blessing.
day? What was the day you decided that you are going to? Was it before the car or after the car? Like the the entity of I Love ARR was before the car or after the car?
It was after the car. It was
I see.
after.
So that was like a big watershed moment, I suppose.
I think so. I think so. And then the day I got the car, I mean, I got it home from the dealership. The very same day, I just put a picture up on Twitter and Instagram, and then minutes later, things changed. Literally minutes later.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you have been much more than a fan. I think that would be really reducing what you have done to fandom. I think fans are people that say that merely say I love ARR. I think you sort of really followed up on that statement with much more. So I think what I draw from it is that uh, the car and the vanity plate is merely symbolic of committing to the thing that you passionately feel something about. What I also recognize now after you told me is that your own transformation had so much to do with his body of work, and that decision, because like you're saying it, in a very blasé tone. You just said it in a sentence, like everybody can do it, but losing 46 kilos is a matter of no small measure. Not only is it's not really even about the loss of, but even doing something continuously for 6 months on an impulse decision that made you wake up the next morning and say, I'm going to make this change in my life. Whatever that change may be, whether it's about going to the gym or whether it's about saying, I'm going to improve myself or practice or
Yeah.
not be an asshole or whatever one decides, to follow that up is it shows much more than just fandom, man. So I think it's been an honor to get to know you, Chander. It's
Thank you.
and I hope to become as passionate as you are.
Oh, come on. I mean, I have to say this because the way in which you described the whole journey, I felt like I wish I was part of your team, at least assisting you in some way or the other as part of that 99th project. Who knows? You never know what's in store in the future.
Yep.
One day, Sir might say, okay, Chanda, come over, and I might leave everything and then just blindly go.
Yeah, it's a long drive. It's a long drive. Gotta stock up.
True. Vishwesh, thank you so much, buddy. It's been absolutely amazing. And
Pleasure is all mine.
And yeah, we have to keep in touch.
Yes.
And I will offer my support in any way possible, not just for 99, for anything absolutely.
You're very kind. You're very kind. And I'm glad to have made a new friend. Thanks, Chander.
Thank you.
Ah,